Hey adventurers, so today is going to be my wrap up for the month of November 2025, and I have 5 books on here, maybe 6. If so, there will be an insert. I'm filming this on the November 30th, so I probably won't finish anything, but I might because I have just under 3 hours left on an audiobook, and so I might get through that. We will see what happens. It's actually probably closer to an hour and a half because I listened on ×2 speed. Anyways, none of that's important. Let's get into this list here. The first book that I finished in November was The Pioneers by James Fenimore Cooper. This is the 4th book in the Leatherstocking Tales. It's the first book he wrote. It's 4th book chronologically, but the first book he actually wrote and published in the series. And this is a very different style than the other 3 have been. There's a lot of similarities, but the biggest thing that I noticed is there's a lot less of Leatherstocking, of our main character, Natty Bumppo or Long Rifle, or any of the various other names, Deerslayer, whatever. He's been given lots of names throughout the series, and in this one he's known by Leatherstocking or Natty Bumppo. He's significantly less present in this book. He's also about 70 years old in this book, and it's a very different place in his life, and the story in a lot of ways is not about him. The story is about these people that are in this town, in this village. It's kind of like a story about the village rather than about Natty Bumppo, and it's very interesting. I wasn't sure if I liked it or not when it was first starting. I was like, this is very different. I just want to spend time with our main character that we've grown to love over these last 3 books. And once you realize, oh, this is the first one he wrote, and then he was like, okay, now I want to go back. James Fenimore Cooper was like, okay, I want to go back and tell more stories about this character. Once you realize that that's what happened, you understand why this book feels so different. But it's a good book, a very good book. I ended up really enjoying it, coming away from it having really enjoyed the book and the story. And really the second half deals a lot more with Leatherstocking than the other books had, or than the first half had. That's what I would say. But there's also, it's just a very different story, and it's kind of nice because you're coming to the end of this character's story, and it's deserved. It's earned. It's deserved, especially after seeing what has happened in those first 3 books. And yeah, so very, very enjoyable. I have one more book left to go in this series, and I'm excited to finish up the series because it's been excellent. Next book I listened to was Lies of Locke Lamora. This is the first book in the Gentleman Bastard series. I know there was a lot of other people reading it at the same time, BookTube friends and stuff that were reading it at the time. And so I was like, okay, I'll jump in on that. I need to read it anyways. And so I listened to the audiobook. Excellent story. Could have easily been a 5-star story, except for mostly the profanity. There's a lot of language in the book. That was the biggest issue with it. It was not so heavy on adult content, on other types of adult content, which was, violence, sure, absolutely, but definitely a lot milder than I was expecting in a lot of ways. And even with the language, it was not quite as gratuitous as I've seen in other stories, and for that I appreciated that. And so basically, this could have been a 5-star book had the language been less so. But even with the amount of language that was in it, I still really enjoyed this book and the story that was being told, the character of Locke and John, and the rest of our crew there and everything. It was a fun book, a fun story, very interesting. A lot of background politics. Is almost like there was 4 stories going on at once, which is what makes the book as excellent, because you have Locke and John that are woven through all these stories and tied up in them all in a way that usually most books would do 1 or 2, and that's the story that they'd be telling. But they've got their fingers in so many different areas that now it's reaching, all these things are coming together and just happen to be coming together all at the same time, sure, there's a little bit of coincidence there, but there's story. The story dictates why that coincidence is necessary and stuff like that. And it's a very well told book, very well written. I am definitely going to be continuing the series and reading more of this series. I had a very good time with the book. Yeah, I do wish the language had been less, but other than that, I still greatly enjoyed it. The third one that I listened to was A Soul Divided. This is the first book in the Soulfire trilogy? Bloodfire trilogy? I don't remember. By Daniel M. Quilter, I believe, is the author. This is a self-pub author. He sent me his audiobook to read, to listen to and give an honest review of, so I'll for sure be doing that. But this is one where for first off, it's sci-fi. And let's see, A Soul Divided, the Bloodfire Trilogy, Book 1 by Daniel M. Quilter. That's right. So This one, it's I started listening to it and I was like, this feels like a mixture of Star Wars and Halo. And then I go back and read his pitch to me about the book, and he said it's basically a mixture of Star Wars and Halo and Firefly. And I haven't watched Firefly, and so I can't see how that ties into it, but the Star Wars and the Halo, absolutely. It feels so much like both of those, but it's also very unique. It's very much its own thing, and I really enjoyed it. It was a great sci-fi book. It's I mean, I guess you could say it's more along the lines of like well, I mean, it's sci fantasy too, to some degree, space opera. And I thought that it was really good. I thought it was really well done. I had a lot of fun. I would pause it for whatever reason, and I wanted to press play again, or I'd come to the end of my workday and I'd go home and I'd be wanting to listen to it again. And yeah, I had a great time with this one. It's hard to even explain what the story is about. It almost seems, the setup almost seems like this is not going to be that great. It like that's the idea that I got as soon as I started listening to the setup. Well, first off, that the first chapter you listen to and you're like, oh, this is super cool. I love this guy. And then the story veers away from that for a little while, and you're like, I can't follow those characters that I just started appreciating and enjoying. And it goes a different way. Our main character, I guess you would say he's the main character. His name is Drake. The main character, I think you could say the main character is Drake in this book. His name is Drake, and he's a little bit of a strange main character. Not the type of character. He's a scoundrel. He's absolutely a scoundrel. And there's a little bit of him that I wouldn't normally care for as a main character, but because he's surrounded by all these other characters throughout the book, it works well. He works as the lead, even with his annoying, his aptitude at being annoying. I had a lot of fun. I liked seeing the magic and the technology and the way that Quilter was able to build this story and this world and this universe. And it's futuristic sci-fi, but it's also, there's a lot of magical elements in it. Yeah, it is futuristic sci-fi. They reference, I think they reference New Terra is what it is that they reference. Anyways, I enjoyed it. I had a really good time reading this book, listening to this book. Definitely recommend it. It's a sci-fi book. I will, or it's a self-published book, so I would definitely recommend checking it out if you see anything about it that intrigues you at all. And again, I will have a full review of it once I get there. Next one I listened to was The Weed That Strings the Hangman's Bag. This is the second book in the Flavia de Luce series by, I think it's Alan Bradley is the author. I read the first book, which is The Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie, last year or 2 years ago or something like that. Just, I needed an audiobook. I asked one of my friends and she recommended that one, and so I picked it up and listened to it, and I was like, man, it's a book that I don't think should have worked for me. I'm not the target audience. I am not the hugest fan of mysteries. The main character is a 12-year-old girl, or an 11-year-old, I think maybe she's 11, I don't remember. 11, 12-year-old girl, and it's not something that should work for me as a reader. And yet I go into it and it's just wonderful. It's just fun. I enjoy. Sure, there's the mystery, but I enjoy the aspect of her that she's a chemist. She likes playing with chemistry, and it's explained why she can be as good of a chemist as she is at the age that she is, and it makes sense. The mysteries are a little bit, I mean, like most mysteries set in a small town, the setup is a little bit contrived with each entry, and the longer it goes on, the more you're like, well, how many people are going to die in this city, in this town type thing. But I enjoyed it. It was very different. The conclusions made logical sense. I will say that the wrap up of the mystery aspect of it felt a little underwhelming, felt a little almost unexplained, but as in more unexplained as in how certain of the characters would understand that's happened when they didn't have all the facts to lay out, and it makes sense why Flavia could come up with the answer, but the other characters not so much type thing, and that's fine. The series is about Flavia, and so I can get or Flavia, I don't know what is the correct pronunciation, but Anyways, I had fun. I enjoyed this one. It's one of those series where if I just need an audiobook, I'm just gonna go reach for this type thing. It's not a high priority by any stretch of the imagination. Next one I listened to is How to Ride a Dragon Storm by Cressida Cowell. This is the 7th, I think, book in the How to Train Your Dragon series. This is one where I put on hold last month because I was hoping that it would come through and I could just finish it up for one of the prompts in one of the, I don't know, there was a readathon type thing that I was doing in October, and it would have fit one of the prompts, and I just didn't, it didn't come through, and so I left it on hold and it came through. And I mean, they're really fun. There's not a whole lot to them. They're really just fun little middle grade or chapter books, maybe even younger than middle grade stories about Hiccup and Toothless, and I mean, we know the characters from the movies, but the books are very, very different, and it's still enjoyable. There's not a whole lot to it, but it's just enjoyable. So those are the 5 books that I have finished so far in November. If I finish this other one, I'll insert a clip here. So insert here because I said that I would if I finished the book, and I did. I finished the book, which was Cannery Row by John Steinbeck. That's the book that I was listening to, and I finished. This is one that I found out about actually from Tori Talks. She mentioned that it had been recommended to her, I think by Stephen Erickson, she said, and that it was very atmospheric. And so it was one that I was like, okay, well, if it's atmospheric, I should read it, but also I needed an audiobook, and I looked, and it happened to be available at the time from my library, and so I picked it up. It was fantastic, very atmospheric, very much felt like a life book, and that was great. I really ended up enjoying that Cannery Row greatly. So yeah, that is the final 6th, I think, book that I listened to in November. And I will say thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday. I'm looking forward to my December reading because I think that it will, if I can get the reading done that I need to. I will say this. I did not physically read very much this month. Simply put, I have been very busy this month, and I have not had the time to physically read that I would like. And even over Thanksgiving, I decided to watch Stranger Things instead of read the book, my physical book. And so that's what happened. And I also learned a new game. Terra Mystica is the game that I've been playing a little bit this holiday as well, Thanksgiving holiday. And so because of those 2 things, I didn't get much physical reading done. If I did read once or twice, 1 or 2 nights, but not very much at all. So that's why I don't have any physical books that I finished. All of these were audiobooks. Anyways, I've rambled too far. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.